Hi everybody, I'm Pastor Dave with you again with Wednesday Workout in the Word, and I am continuing my program for the next several weeks on area businesses and local people that are helping other people out and doing it in the name of Christ. And today I'm at Element Barbell with the owner Anton Payne. I have known Anton for a while. I knew his dad even, so been around for a while, and he's a local pastor. He owns a coffee shop here in Hagerstown and a gym here, and he's a great guy, wrestling coach, right?
That's right. Yep.
And Hagerstown, and really has a good influence on a lot of people's lives, and that's why I thought about him and wanted to have an interview with him here with you today. And Anton, tell me a little bit about like what originally, where did you hear about the message of Christ?
Well, first off, I appreciate you coming and chatting with me. And as far as my relationship with God, and I was raised in church. Kind of a story. A lot of people will have. I was raised in church, but
yeah,
it's kind of one of those things where you get raised in something, and then you get to a certain age, and you kind of wander away. And
right.
And that was me. That was my story. As I kind of went my own direction, and then it wasn't until I was in the military that I felt that call back. And obviously, the Lord never stopped calling me. It's right. I decided to answer it. So I was in the military, and I really felt like the Lord was speaking directly to me that it was time for me to make a change, and that, like I said, He was always there for me. I just had kind of wandered my own direction. So it was probably when I was about 20, 21, 22 years old that I really became who started to walk into what He called me to walk in.
Right.
Yeah.
So how is, like you're a wrestling coach, how does God being Lord of your life, how does that work into your wrestling and coaching?
Well, ultimately, I was a wrestler in high school, and I love the sport because of what it teaches you. Just so much about life. Just it mirrors life so much.
Sure.
Struggle in life, and you can kind of physically go through these steps and become a better wrestler, and it mirrors life so much. But when I got back involved in the sport as a coach, I could see the opportunity to start helping shape and mold these young men and women. Now, obviously, working in a school, it's not where I have the opportunity to really, just go in and preach. But at the same time, there's a lot of godly principles that are just applicable to life, right? And everything that God has done in our lives that we can use. Just like Jesus did. He would say, hey, like that's happening over there. This is the way it is in the world. This is the way it is in the kingdom. I'm able to do that through the sport of wrestling. I'm able to show kids that, listen, these things are coming at you in life, and this is the opportunity to have to sow into your own life. And it's really cool to see these young men and women get a hold of this, and it changed their life. And the sport of wrestling is a great place to introduce them to who they're called to be.
Yeah. And I always I've made reference to in some sermons about wrestling, like Jacob, when he wrestled with God all night.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes life feels like that. It seems like we wrestle with God until we finally submit and say, okay, Lord, it's your way. And that's actually, it gives you the victory when you submit to God.
Absolutely.
So you've been a pastor for how long?
So I got in the ministry. The reason why I came back to this area to begin with, and I got out of the military, was actually to do ministry. I was, my family and I, on all of us were scheduled and actually planning to move to Nashville, Tennessee, and I had gotten a word that the Lord said that He wanted me to come back to my home area to start to do work with youth, and I was dead set against it. I did not want to come back. I mean, wasn't nothing against the area. I'd been here. I wanted to go somewhere else. I was dead set against it, but it was conviction. I knew I had to come back to this area, and it was the hardest thing for me. You mentioned my dad earlier. He was already down in Nashville looking for homes, they were down there, and so I had to make a phone call and tell him, Dad, I'm not going to Nashville. I'm going. And I called him up. And I go, Dad, I hate to tell you this, but I got to go back home. I feel this call. And he goes, son, I was going to call you and I didn't know how to tell you, but I feel called to go back home too.
Oh, wow.
And so
that worked out great.
It was incredible. So so that was affirmation for sure.
Funny how God knows what He's doing a lot more than we do.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure, for sure.
Well, so you came here and you've been a pastor for a while,
Yeah.
right? And you have your church is kind of a different style because it's in a coffee house
Yeah.
too, right?
Yep, that's right.
And really, I think that makes you very approachable because people don't see you as somebody that they just meet at church. It's
Right.
somebody that they can come and hang out with and talk to, and I think that opens up a lot of people to talk to you about like maybe some things going on in their life that they may need help with,
Oh,
need
absolutely.
prayer with, and even some of the athletes I'm sure that you work with, they probably say, hey man, can I talk to you?
Yep.
Because they know that you're that guy that will listen and you'll be confidential with what they tell you because of your reputation as a Christian.
Yeah,
And a
for
pastor
sure.
who keeps things that and plus gives great advice because you give godly advice.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that having the non-traditional location
Yeah.
has been good for what I felt called to in the beginning anyways. I love all churches and there's a flavor for every church.
Absolutely.
And I think they're all needed, but not everybody feels comfortable going through that church building door sometimes.
Right,
And
right.
those are the people typically that God sends our way. They're
Yeah.
the ones that haven't
Nice.
been in church or were in some situation where they were hurt or whatever may be the case, and they find their way back, and there's this to them, it seems non-judgmental atmosphere, even though...
And I think there's probably a lot more people than you realize looking for that kind of atmosphere.
Sure. And so, and again, with coaching, and again, the fact that kids know that I'm a pastor, even though I know, I'm not preaching to kids as a wrestling coach, the
Right.
kids knowing that I'm a pastor outside of the sport of wrestling, they will come to me, they will seek me out, which has been great, just being available.
Nice.
I think one of the biggest ministries we all have is availability, is being present in people's life.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, that's what I said. I'm shocked at how many people don't have that person to rely on or talk to.
Yeah.
And I think it's really detrimental to people's mental health not having that person.
Agreed.
And I think the great part about being a pastor, because I'm a pastor too, is being able, if you can't be there for them, you can't be there 24/7.
Right.
They're going to be by themselves or something eventually. Is helping them to realize that God is with them 24/7.
That's right. So yes, obviously you hear the noise in the background and stuff like that. But this has been a place where we have kids come in that's playing basketball. We have the moms that come in that need a little time away and do their thing.
Yeah.
It's just a safe area for people to come start working on themselves. What better place for you to be able to help them? After they learn that they can push themselves, they can overcome something. Then they start opening up to some of the other possibilities in their own life.
Yeah.
The physical, the mental, emotional, the spiritual, all those things. So that's what we do, what we do. And it was a bad time to start a gym in the sense of I bought when everything was most expensive. But at the same time, everything else was shutting down as well. So when the pandemic and all this stuff happened, people were scared. And then you start, one thing that I believe is God gives us an immune system so that we need to make sure we're always, not just because of the pandemic, but always stand in the best shape we possibly can.
Right.
So again, this is kind of our answer to that is, hey, let's get active.
Yeah.
So everything I do, I want to have a bigger purpose than just, face value.
Right. And when I used to lift just for me.
Right.
Power lift or whatever, and just for me. And then, even through that, God was able to use me to reach a lot of younger kids and teens.
Oh, yeah.
Because I would do stuff like punch through concrete slabs.
I remember you doing
and all that.
stuff, yeah.
But be able to tell them look, just because you people have told you that going to church makes you this or this, and
Right.
you're not. That we are just people who come in and we want to improve our life.
Right.
Now, I'd love to improve my life physically,
Yeah.
but more than that, God cares about our spiritual.
Yeah, amen.
And that's kind of what we're able to convey to younger teens or whatever.
right.
And my son who's here with me today, and just make sure that he realizes, it's good to stay in physical shape, but you can use that as a platform to make your life overall better.
That's right.
Spiritually,
That's right.
speaking.
That's right. Yep.
Because it gives you, as well as I do, lifting, competing, that kind of thing, gives you a certain amount of confidence.
It does.
And once you figure out, wait a minute, that confidence that I have, that's God's gave me that.
Yeah,
Just like he gave
absolutely.
everybody else.
That's right.
You know, everything. You know, he gave me my mental. He gave me my physical. He gave me my spiritual. And you know, you realize that, wow, you know, the very thing that I thought was all about me, you know, I have to make it all about God.
Yeah,
and it's cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And obviously I met you years ago, but you know, you always did. Again, outside looking in, I saw that you were doing this in helping these people, and it was cool to watch. Again, I'm a kid at the time.
Yeah.
It's like,
thanks.
You look. No, I don't mean that in a bad way. But I'm saying, like,
I'm just
no. I'm saying, but it's like I said, you have these larger than life personalities, and you and Jim and those people that you were that to me and some of my friends when we were 18, 19 years old.
Yeah.
Which, again, you didn't know it, but at the time, you're motivating us, you're inspiring us.
Yeah.
But like you said, at the time you were doing it, you might have been doing it for yourself. But for me on the outside looking in, I was like, man, that dude's awesome. You know, so that's cool. You know, it's just, and I hope to be doing some of that in other kids' life, just motivating them to say, this is possible. You know, things are possible.
Well, and if somebody looks at you in that light and says, you know, wow, Anton's, you know, a great wrestler. He's got this gym. He's got, you know, a fantastic life, and you can pull that all back around and say, you know what, everything I have is attributed to it's a gift from God.
That's it. That's
family,
everything,
gym, businesses, you know, my health, everything is a gift from God.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
Interestingly enough, I just want to bring this up. I just had some shirts made up here recently about bringing it back to wrestling, about Jacob and the, you know, and I said, I put on the shirt, it says the original sport, wrestling.
That's good.
Yeah. So and it's got some an artsy look at that whole wrestling match.
Nice.
But I like to use that as bragging points. That, you know, hey, I'm not saying it. It's in the Bible. You know. So,
exactly.
But yeah, so I'm glad you're doing what you're doing too, because too many times we kind of as lay pastors, you know the Sunday pastor, you know that, but there's a lot of ministry going on out in the world.
Sure.
And it's where it needs to be, right?
Yeah. That's why Jesus said, go into all the world. He didn't say stay in the little building and, you know, hope for the best.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, I appreciate you.
Well, man, thank you for your time today, brother. I appreciate it. I really do. It means a lot. But, hey, thank you for joining us today on Workout in the Word and kind of on the road again. But come and check Anton down here at Element Barbell, and you know, he's a good guy, and he'll get you pointed in the right direction. But thank you again, and we'll see you guys next week. You take care.